This is a super easy beginning class for cactus we're painting. Welcome everybody to my channel, Tina Williams Art. It's been a while. I apologize. It's been a little crazy here. We're going to jump right in. At the beginning, I just threw in there because a lot of people, when you're using these concentrated watercolors by Dr. P.H. Martin, which if you've been with me for a bit, then you know this is pretty much the only paint I use. I say use a little bit, and they still, I don't think, understand what I mean by a little bit. So that little tiny drop is literally what I mean by a little bit. The watercolors go a long way. So I'm using Grass Green from Dr. P.H. Martin. I will put the information and the links below in the comments. But right now we're just starting with a little practice. So what I did was wet the paper first in that little shape, semi-round, and I just dropped the paint in there and then just blended it with the water. And then I'm doing the flower, and that's just with my paintbrush. The cool thing about your paintbrush, it's kind of in the shape of the petal. So all you have to do is kind of do one little brush stroke. And again, this is just practice. Play it over and over again if you need. It's a short video. I just wanted to do this really quick one just so that you guys can maybe start with something really easy. And then I'm going to show you a little bit about how to do it's a prickly pear cactus. They look like kind of like Mickey ears. So just draw the Mickey ears. You can do this without drawing it if you feel comfortable with it, but a lot of people want to do the drawing first so that they can just use it to guide themselves. And I just kind of mixed my colors and did like a muddy. It's just basically the colors I have on my paper and muddied it. It's just dirty water basically. Put that down. Now I'm adding a little bit of a blue just to kind of mix them together. And it gives it this kind of cool-ish contemporary look to the cactus. These cactus do get some cool colors to it. These are local plants to me, so I see them every day. I love them. I think they're beautiful. And they do get kind of these kind of cool bluish purplish hues to them sometimes. They're not just green or brown. And I thought this was a kind of a cool way to honor it. How many times can I say cool in 1 minute? But and I'm just changing up the colors. I'm just having some fun with it. I don't think I've ever seen one this bright blue before, but you never know. I just wanted to do something fun, make it a little bit more whimsical. I mean, you can make them purple or pink or whatever color you want. You don't have to stick to the colors, but you know what? I say if you're practicing, mix them up. See how the colors look together. I'm sorry, I just hit my mic, so if you heard that, I apologize. This is another technique. It's wet on wet. So all I'm doing is I'm wetting the paper and then I'm dropping in the colors on the very edge of where the wetness is. And then I clean my brush, I dry it, and then I blend it together from the edges like this. I'm not sure what this effect is called, but I think it also has another cool effect. So practice with it, see which ones you like, and then we'll go ahead and we'll do our actual painting. So this one I'm just doing, I guess you could call these barrel cactus. They are, they could be fat saguaros. I'm kind of mixing my cactus together. If you're local to Arizona with me, then don't judge me. It's just a little family of barrel cactus. I'm sketching it out first to use as a guide. Typically I wouldn't be doing this, but like I said, it's a beginner level, so I wanted you guys to be able to see where your water's going. I've noticed that if you don't do this and you haven't tried this before, then your cactus will just grow and grow and grow, and all of a sudden you're like, I don't know what happened. So the first technique we used before is basically the same thing I'm doing here. I've completely wet this whatever this shape is called. It's like a half teardrop. I don't know, whatever the shape is. I put the green on one side, and that's it. It helps give it that round effect. I'll go over it again a little bit later just to give it a little bit more darkness so it's a little bit more rounded. But I'm just going to do this to the rest of the cactus, and I'm just doing wet on wet. You can see here that I didn't completely get my brush clean. I purposely did that. I didn't want to get my brush perfectly clean because I was okay with a little bit of the green transferring to the paper. And then I'm just blending it. If you're not able to blend it so much like I am, it's because your paper or your brush is too dry. That's right. Drush is a dry brush. So if that's the case, then re-wet your paper or re-wet your brush. Um, if it's not blending well. If it's blending fine, then you're good to go. And I'm just going to keep going to the next one. Just be careful that you don't hit the other cactus because then the colors will blend into each other, which it's a cool effect if that's what you're going for. If you don't want that, then obviously you want to be a little bit more careful. And as I said, I'm just going to go over it a little bit just to give a little bit more of that green effect on that one side to make it look a little bit more rounded. We're going to actually go over this later with a micron marker pen thing, the black that you see on the left there. So I taught this in a class recently, a few weeks ago, and everybody was feeling quite frustrated at this point because you're like, it doesn't look that blended. It doesn't look like yours. Just hang in there. When they got to the end, when we added the pen, they're like, oh, this looks cool. Everybody was happy with it. We went from everybody was like, I don't know about this, to everybody loved their painting. So just stick with it. And that's kind of the trick to watercolor. So if you're used to working with things like acrylics or oils, it's a little bit more forgiving because you can go over it over and over and over again until you get it right. You don't have that luxury in watercolor, which is why a lot of people feel like it is the most difficult medium to work with. But a lot of times I see people, they're posting their watercolors and they're like, I'm not feeling it. I don't know what's wrong with it. Oftentimes, I would say 7 out of 10 times, the answer is keep going. Usually about halfway through my paintings, it looks very blech, like just dreary and not exciting and nothing like I wanted. It's usually because it's kind of your base layers in there. Then you go and you add your details and you keep working with the colors. But the trick is to not start so dark, because if you do, then you can't go back over it. It gets muddy. You won't be able to go over it. So start super light. So you see where my painting is right now. It looks really blurry. And it's like, oh, it doesn't look good. It's because I didn't add the micron pen yet. So we're going with the micron pen. And the reason I use a micron pen is because it doesn't bleed. It's not going to go through. So you're basically looking for an archival pen. So archival pens are what you would be using for scrapbooking, things like this. They don't bleed. They kind of stick where you put them. And then we're going to just draw the lines on the cactus. If you want to practice this part first, by all means, go ahead. It kind of gives that watermelon effect, I think. But once you add these lines, it makes it feel a little bit more complete. And then you can also, like if you saw where my painting was before, you can see the edges there. It does look a little like I painted outside the edges. I went outside the lines. You can use your pen to make that look cleaner. See how that looks all of a sudden? No, I haven't drawn outside the lines. And this is more of a loose watercolor anyway. We're not looking for perfect. We're just looking for a little bit more whimsical. And then you add these lines, and I'm going to add the thorns. That one on the left there looks a little bit like a pineapple. I must be hungry though. I think I am hungry. I want a pineapple. Did I say pineapple? Watermelon. Have I been saying pineapple? I don't even know. I've meant watermelon. You guys probably think I'm crazy. So I'm just adding these little like V lines, these V's. They're supposed to be like your the thorns on the cactus. Are they called thorns? I'm not sure. And I'm doing them kind of every other distance, so they're not perfectly lined up. So if you see what I mean over there, it's like they're not all even is what I'm going for. And I'm just going to put them everywhere so that you can see. And it gives you that completed look. If you want to add it to your flower, you can. I didn't. I left my flower the way it was. More of a personal preference. So now we're going to do the bookmark. And this is a 2-for-1 video. So same thing. We're going to do a little Mickey Mouse ears. I did mine a little crooked because I didn't want them to be perfectly Mickey Mouse. But you can do the Mickey Mouse ears. I added a couple more. The prickly pear cactus I will post a picture here really quick so that you can see what they actually look like. But that they do have like these paddles that kind of stack up on top of each other. And I'm mixing the blue and the green. So I think I was using the true blue and the grass green, mixing them together. I think the blues and greens together look so pretty. And I'm doing every other paddle because I didn't want the colors to blend into each other. I wanted them to be a little bit separate. And I'm just a mishmash. This one's going to be a little bit more green. Another one might be a little bit more blue. I just think it looks really cool. And the other thing that I'm going to be doing, which I don't show here, because you don't have to do it, and I guess I could show it. Maybe next time I'll do that if you want me to, is you could take like carbon paper. If you're familiar, like remember when you like on the receipt books, a lot of times they have the carbon paper. You can buy them on Amazon really cheap. I'll put a link in the description. But you can do like your name and really cool lettering, or if you want to give this as a gift, you can do lettering for a friend and then use the carbon paper to trace that on there and then do like really cool colors within the name. That's if you're not comfortable with writing it out yourself. So you can write it out yourself. If you're great with hand lettering, by all means, do it on your own. If you're not and you don't like the way it turns out, then use carbon paper to trace out the name. And then I'm going to go ahead and add my little flower. It's a blooming cactus. And then, of course, add the micron pen to finish it up. Instead of the little V's, I'm just doing little dots and stuff. Gives the same effect as the little V thorns. The prickly pears, they do look like they have the thorns kind of embedded in them, which is why I'm doing the dots to give you guys that look, if that makes sense. Does that make sense? Hopefully this all makes sense to you. It is a short video, just to give you guys something fun to do. And then you can add your little tassel to your bookmark to complete it. I'm actually, this is fine. If you heard my chair right now, I had to move my chair because it was falling. Anyways, thanks so much. Hope to see you at the next video.